To be fair, Connor, when we're looking at that week where we've got 3 games in 6 days, it wasn't bad, was it? When we're looking at it, I mean, I think those 2 away games at Norwich and Sunderland, if we'd have said beforehand, we're going to come away from those 2 difficult games undefeated, then probably most of us would have been happy with that. Of course, we'd have liked a win out of one of those 2 away games. And we almost had that, didn't we? Apart from the obvious gaff at the end there. So I think all in all, I'm quite pleased with those 3 because they were very tricky ones, and we've come through them unbeaten. So yeah, very pleased with that.
Is it enough though? Would you have expected a little bit more?
Well, definitely. When you go to a place like Sunderland where we didn't beat them last season, we ended up gifting them 4 points, if you like, out of 6. And to be in a position where you're in the 97th minute and just playing out the last embers of the game, we're all thinking there that we've got 3 points and it's been a cracking week. But I mean, staggering, isn't it? That absolutely staggering. I suppose we're going to have to speak about it. Loads of people have been over the last few days, but it literally is as bad as I've ever seen, and it's really like an old, worn-out record now, isn't it? You know how I feel about Meslier. I felt this way for years about Meslier. He's an absolute nightmare, and he potentially is going to cost us at the end of the season. And I know the arguments, Connor. Well, how many games is going to save points? And you've got to try and weigh up the 2. But inherently, I just feel deep down that he's going to end up costing us something, and it's just gaff after gaff after. It's just the way he plays the game. We were watching it the other night, and it's usually his distribution, isn't it? He's always putting his fullbacks under pressure. The simplest aspects of his game, he doesn't seem to have improved upon. Over the couple of games that I've watched, he's punching balls when it's easier to catch balls. I just don't know what it is about him. I'm just wondering what the goalkeeping coaches do with Meslier down at Ellen Road, because for me, he just does not improve.
Yeah, I guess that's the big thing, isn't it, with Meslier? It's the fact that maybe since Bielsa, and even in that period with Bielsa, we've not seen a drastic improvement at all. There's cases for Firpo, there's cases for Strauch, Dan James. You can argue the cause for those guys, but it is just been a downturn in Meslier's career, really. I mean, you kind of have to keep playing him, Dad, in a sense, because you want some stock, you want some value. They've clearly not identified it as a problem, even though we've said it. Many people who watch this channel have said it. That was the weak link. And I think it cannot breed any sort of confidence into the starting 11. I mean, as well, the manager's made him vice captain. So there's very much all this support, and I do feel like Leeds fans do get behind him, like they got behind Patrick Bamford when he was putting in stinker after stinker. But at some point, you've got to have a chat, and there's got to be some discussion within recruitment of replacing the weakest link in this side, because I feel we saw the Norwich penalty, we saw the gaff against Portsmouth where it was turned into a French hologram, a bagel, it went straight through him. And then the other night, we're only sort of 9 games in, and we're already talking about Illan Meslier not saving the team, but costing the team.
Do you know what? It's weird. In that moment when the ball came over, it was innocuous, but I still had a feeling that something could happen, something stupid where, not obviously what did transpire, Connor, that incredible gaff. But you always feel deep down, or at least I do, I don't feel secure in a situation like that. So, it really was innocuous, the ball in, but I still didn't feel completely secure and 100% that Meslier is going to pick up the ball, he's going to save the ball, I'm just going to play the game out. The guy just does not inspire confidence, and that's me as a supporter. I can't imagine how his back 3, back 4 must feel playing in front of him, and you saw the reaction from Firpo, when it panned to him, and he's really upset. And who can blame him? I understand why the rest of the team would go up to Meslier. But within moments, he's there laughing and joking with the Sunderland manager. If that had been me, I mean, I know they're all colleagues at L'Oreal, but if that had been me, mate, I'd have been straight off the pitch and down the tunnel following Firpo. I mean, it's completely embarrassing. And I'm staggered by it. I mean, absolutely staggered. And we all knew it. Fans listen, I'm not going to go down Swan Road and start heckling Illan Meslier, Connor, because he's a Leeds player. I'm not going to do that. But forums like this give us a chance to speak out. And time again, we do that. And the guy's an absolute horror show. He's a horror show. And it's not just letting things in like that. It's just the way he plays the game. He does not inspire confidence, full stop.
Yeah, John on the Patreon said, "Morning. In a young goalkeeper, you expect to see mistakes, but you also expect to see improvement. My question is, has anybody seen improvement?"
Well, Connor, I think now you've got a keeper that, whether we're inept at improving goalkeepers at Leeds, whether he'd go to another club and he'd improve with better goalkeeping coaches, maybe so. But it's almost like we've got the products now. Is he a finished product? What is he, 24 years old? He's been with us for 4 or 5 years. He's had 3 years experience in the Premier League. Doesn't matter how old the lad is, the guy is, he's got lots of experience behind him now. He must be approaching 200 plus games, nearly the top level, Championship and Premier League. And it's absolutely shocking. Where do we go from here? Do you still play that? We know he's going to play him. When it comes to the next game. Sam Allardyce famously dropped him, didn't he? As we were running the back end of the Premier League season, he had the guts to drop him because he saw that the lad's head had gone, and he thought that timeout would do him. Now maybe Farke should look at this and say, I don't know. He needs to be things need to change, Connor. And maybe it seems that Farke's just not confident in the other keepers that he's got. Or
I guess, but it's like a wider problem, isn't it? Because and this is the thing, it's like, you crying over spilt milk, but you've got to discuss these things because it's relevant to the club, and especially relevant now in an international break and the game that we've just seen. It's not sort of like looking at Leeds in the position that we're in, but you're probably a little bit worried, when there's a weak link in the side, that weak link is going to cost you. And I think I don't understand, A, how he was made vice captain, B, how the manager said that he was the best keeper in the league last year when he wasn't, and all the stats backed it up. And C, we're going into this season with Carl Darlow, who frankly, in my opinion, and from what I've heard as well, from people who are quite close to the channel as well, who sort of know a few bits and bats, he's not really that bothered. He's sort of interested in coming to Leeds and doing what he's doing, sort of thing. So, which isn't really pushing Meslier. So I think there's numerous questions there, but to leave Meslier on an island by himself again, it just, like we had last season, it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like negligence from that aspect with the club. So it's, we can look at these sort of like microcosm moments that we've seen already this season, and you can't really, for the next 9 games, see, let's say, 3 maybe errors / problematic scenarios. The Norwich penalty, which for me, he stays down the middle. He's got to save that. He has to save that. And then you look at the Sunderland game. Last minute, it cost us 2 points in a massive game. The Portsmouth game. I know we can go and we can look at Matteo Joseph, Dad, for the miss that he had there. Aronson had a miss. Nonso had a miss. But at the end of the day, the goalkeeper is your last line of defence. The goalkeeper has got a simple effort to save with the Portsmouth player, who, by the way, was completely surprised the ball went in the back of the net and it went straight through him at his near post. These moments are going to affect you over the season, and that's a big worry, because what's going to have to happen, Dad, when we're talking about marginal gains, this, that, and the other, the attacking players, the outfield players, are going to have to get him out of jail with some of these moments.
Yeah, they're having to work twice as hard in doing their jobs. And let's face it, they did their jobs the other night. They put us in a position where we'd won that game. They did their jobs. He didn't do his job. And he's showing like that time and time again. Of course, we're not going to go on Swelling Road and give him a hard time. We're not going to do that because we're supporters and we're going to be behind him. But we've got to talk about things like that, forums like this. And I just cannot believe it, Connor. Time and time again, we're calling out Meslier and saying he's just not up to the job. He's not good enough. Unfortunately, they'll start bashing back stats and how many clean sheets we've had and how many goals we've conceded this year. And that reflects automatically on the keeper as if he's doing some great job, but that's more down to the people in front of him. But I just don't understand what the coaching staff see in him. We could all see it. We've seen it for years. We've needed to go out there and top priority. Everybody's banging on about a left back, a centre forward, a number 10, a number 8, a number 6. It's the number 1 we need, Connor. It's been top priority for years. Top priority. I just do not understand. Everybody knows in football you build from the back.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Jamie said, I've noticed with football lately that society has changed in regards to shielding players from blame. I'm 32 years old and I've received a few harsh words from coaches, as I'm sure we all did when I was playing, which was justified. Do you think football has gone a little too soft now? I've seen some outrageous takes defending Meslier after Friday night, mentioning concussion, a mole heading the ball in, terrible joke. Just wanted to know both your general thoughts about player criticism in the modern game. Great question, Jamie.
It is. It's a really good question. And, maybe it's just a reflection of society now and the way we are. There's always a reason for some defect or deficiency. Sometimes it just comes down to maybe, bad play, a lack of ability, whatever it may be. We don't always have to find an excuse for something. And I heard that one. I think the commentators on Sky Sports mentioned it. Oh, well, maybe he's feeling some sort of after effects from the knock earlier. Rubbish. If he had been, they'd have taken him off the pitch.
True.
So that's absolute rubbish. And he just said, I'm not fit to play on. So that's, again, I think that's a really good question. Sometimes you need to kick up the backside. So you need to take responsibility and blame for this. Coming out with stuff like, he's laughing and joking with the Sunderland manager, and then he's blubbing in the changing room moments afterwards. I just don't accept. And what I like, and other people have come out saying they don't like it. But I like the fact that Firpo was upset and he charged off the pitch, because to me that means something.
Yeah, it meant a lot to him, that, didn't it? You can clearly tell.
Yeah. And do you know what, Connor? There's a player, and again, I was a big critic of Firpo not that long ago, a really big critic, and I can't believe how much that lad's come on. So maybe we can criticise Farke for being negligent in terms of developing Meslier. But we've also got to give him some plaudits for developing Firpo as well, because I can't believe how well he's been playing. Certainly the back end of the season last year and the starts of this season, for me, he's been our most improved player.
Well, I think that's it as well. I think nobody condones abuse. Nobody condones abuse to football players. But, I think people who do that are a little bit short of a few upstairs. But I think criticism, I do feel now with what Jamie's saying, that, I don't know, maybe it's crept into social media. If you're not really been able to say criticisms, it's sort of, you cast out a little bit, and it's a bit of a weird damage that if you don't play to the gallery, which is very, very easy to do, by the way, very, very easy to do. It's not like you're outwardly going out there and criticizing, but if you just come on with blanket statements and say, we just got to support the players, they're Leeds United players, if you don't support the players, you don't support the club. It's just such, for me, a nonsense argument. And unfortunately, I said this morning on the show we did, there's blurred lines now, I feel, between abuse and critique. I feel people, for some reason, think that critique is abuse when it's not. And I think, it is a problem. So I understand what Jamie's saying there. You kind of have to, be sort of brave when you say things nowadays. That has crept in.
And yet, that's all part of being a human being, isn't it? It's having an opinion on something in whatever aspect of life it may well be. Someone's going to say, well, we're going to have to do it this way, or we're going to have to do it that way. That's what it's like. That's what it is being a human being. If we all just agreed with one another, or we all just disagreed with one another, nothing would ever get done. No. And what do you think happens at Ellen Road? When the coaches are playing with the players, the coaches are all expressing opinions to players on how they can improve and what's going wrong. They're not just saying, oh, well, you've got to have an opinion in this world to count as a human being. And it's odd, isn't it? You profess an opinion. We're talking now, football's valid. Any opinion's valid. Yeah, we don't want people slagging people off just for the sake of it and getting personal. If you've got a well-reasoned argument, an opinion counts, whether you're for or against something, it has to do.